Erev Shabbat Shalom Rabotai. We are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Moed Katan. We are up to Perek Bet, Mishnah Bet. Today's Mishnayot should be Leilu Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Aranbayev, and Eliyahu ben Burchai, Israelov, Menuchatam beGan Eden, Amen. And Laavdeh ben Chaim Nechaim v'Derefua Shenemav, Daniel Shalom ben Rosa, Betoch Shah Cholei Israel. The previous Mishnah cited a dispute between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi as to whether one who needs to press his olives on Chol HaMoed to prevent a loss may complete his work in the usual manner. This Mishnah discusses a similar dispute in regard to freshly squeezed wine, which can sour if not poured into barrels. And likewise, in the case of someone whose wine had been squeezed from the grapes and was sitting in the pit in front of the wine press, ready to be poured into barrels. As the juice is pressed from the grapes, it flows out of the wine press and into a cement-lined pit. It begins to sour if it is not transferred from there into barrels. Ve'o and a situation of mourning happened to him, meaning a close relative died, so that he was unable to pour the wine before the festival. Or ones, or he was prevented from pouring the wine from the pit into the barrels because of an accident. Or sheitu po'alim, or because his workers deceived him by promising to do the work and then not coming, and then the festival arrived. Zolef ve'gomer ve'gaf kedarko divrei Rabbi Yossi. In all these cases, he may pour all of the wine into the barrels and seal the barrels in the usual manner with a full-fledged seal. Now, there is no melacha involved in pouring the wine into barrels. Still, if not for the concern that the wine could spoil, it would be forbidden to transfer it on Chol HaMoed because of the exertion that this involves. It would also be prohibited to seal the barrels, both because of the exertion and because sealing barrels involves the melacha mimachek, smoothing, which is the clay or pitch of the seal. Now, these are the words of Rabbi Yossi. Now, in the previous Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda came before Rabbi Yossi. The order is switched in this Mishnah in order to place both of Rabbi Yossi's rulings together, as Tosfot explained to us. Rabbi Yehuda Amer, but Rabbi Yehuda says, Oselo limudim b'shvil shelo yachmitz. He must leave the wine in the pit and make a temporary covering of boards so that it will not sour, meaning he may not draw the wine out of the pit on Chol HaMoed. Rabbi Yehuda permits doing only the minimum necessary to prevent souring. For this purpose, it is enough to cover the wine temporarily with boards. However, Rabbi Yossi's opinion is that since one may deal with the wine in order to prevent a loss, he may go about doing so in his normal manner. And the Rav does tell us, Vanachak Rabbi Yossi, the Halacha follows the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. That is in a Mishnah Bet. Mishnah Gimel discusses additional cases in which work may be done on Chol HaMoed to prevent a loss, as well as whether this is always permissible. Machnis adam perotav mipnei ganavim. A person may bring in his produce from the field on Chol HaMoed because of the danger of thieves. Under normal circumstances, it is prohibited to bring in one's produce from the fields on Chol HaMoed. Although this does not necessarily involve any melacha, it does involve much exertion and is therefore prohibited during this period, as the Mishnah Berurah tells us in Orach Chaim, chapter 538, Seif Katan 11. However, if there is a danger that the produce will be stolen, it is permitted to bring it in keeping with the rule that work is permitted on Chol HaMoed in order to prevent a loss. V'sholeh fishtano mina mishra b'shvil shelo tovad. And he may take out his flax from the soaking pond so that it does not get ruined. In order to separate the fibers of the flax from its woody tissue, the flax is soaked in water. If it is not removed from the water in time, it becomes spoiled. Now the Mishnah adds an important condition about doing work on Chol HaMoed to prevent a loss. All of this is permitted only if he does not schedule his work for Chol HaMoed. If a person has the ability to do this work before the festival, he may not leave it for Chol HaMoed, relying on the fact that he will then be allowed to do the work to prevent a loss. And in all of these cases, if the person deliberately scheduled their work for Chol HaMoed, what was worked on should be forfeited, meaning Bedin declares the property ownerless, after which it may be taken by anyone who wants it. Now, this penalty is applied only to someone who deliberately scheduled his work for Chol HaMoed. However, if he simply forgot to perform his work before Yom Tov, he is not penalized. And that is an Abotai of today's Mishnah Yomi. Everybody should have a Erev Shabbat Shalom. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.